So Leigh Bardugo has become one of my like immediate go-to authors when I realized she's coming out with something new ever since like Ninth House. Love Ninth House, love Hellbent, and when I found out she was doing like a Spanish Gothic romance, I was all in. I will admit though, I haven't read anything in the Grishaverse. I haven't read Shadow and Bone. I saw the show, I saw the first season of the show, and it was fine. I'll admit I didn't watch season 2, and I'm sad that it was canceled though, because I know people were really enjoying it, so I am sad that it was canceled. I'll probably catch up on season 2 at some point, and I do have, actually I have it here, 6 of Crows on my TBR shelf, because in season 1, they were the most intriguing thing to me. So at some point, I at least want to read 6 of Crows. Probably catch up on the rest later on. But I also want to, like, not yet. I want to, but not yet. I have so many series on the go right now. I want to knock off a few off my list. Then we'll play with the Crows. But anyway, we are here to talk about The Familiar, to have all of my thoughts out on that one. And I will admit, I felt dumb while reading this sometimes. And I think it's on me. I can't explain. Because I love purple prose. I love detailed and like almost like a painting style when it comes to writing, when someone really takes the time to make a sentence just sound and like look beautiful. I'm a big Anne Rice fan. Like, there's all Anne Rice back there. And I've been making videos on her books too. So I'm a big fan of purple prose, but I'm realizing that if it gets a little too dense and poetic for me, it goes a little bit over my head. I will also admit, and I think again, this is just a me thing, not even about this book, but whenever I try to read poetry, I feel like I'm not understanding it. I feel like the message is always going over my head. I don't know if I'm just taking things too literally when I'm trying to read poetry, but also I know you're not really supposed to. I don't know. Whenever I read poetry, it feels like it goes over my head. It feels like I'm not quite grasping what the author is trying to do. That's not what I get here. Actually, The Familiar is fine with that. But that's just in regards to the writing style being very dense and poetic and purple prosy. I think it was just above a level that I could handle. Because there were a couple of moments where I really had to sit down and focus on like a sentence or a paragraph to reread it a couple of times just to realize what exactly it was trying to get across. And the moment I did, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's obvious. So like, I think it was just me being a little off. So yeah, so I'll admit, while the biggest drop for me was like the writing style and just the Spanish Gothic vibes, loved all of that. The writing style, absolutely beautiful, bit challenging for me. And with those prose, with that writing style, it was providing such intricate and specific details to even just like a room that Lucia enters, but also like specific details. It was painting around like individual characters too. It was fascinating. It was challenging, but I loved it anyway. Now the quick description, we're not getting into the spoilers just yet, that'll be later on, but the quick description is that this is the story about Lucia Cotado. Correct me on the pronunciations, I am scared of the pronunciations, correct me on those. But it's about Lucia showing off a little bit too much, unintentionally, but also like a little bit intentionally, because granted her boss, her mistress, is kind of pressuring her into doing that at a little like dinner party. Lucia is also like just a handmaiden too, she's just a maid in the house. So we already got class divisions. So after she shows off at this party a little bit, it does kind of expose the amount of magic that she can do, which is kind of just pseudo-normal, I suppose, in this world. Some people can just do bits of magic, and it's kind of neat. But it's also kind of like our world, and the Spanish Inquisition is around, so she wants to keep her head low and not draw their attention, but she's also getting wrapped up in this series of politics and a tournament. And along the way she meets, and again, correct me, I'll even like spell it out, Santanel. Because I looked it up and the G is silent. Santanel? I'm so sorry if that's wrong. And he's our titular like familiar, and he's also kind of bound by his own curse in a way. And the two spark up a romance. Now getting into minor spoiler territory at the moment, really just because I wanted to like tease out and talk about some themes that I noticed. But later on, it's going to get super spoilery. There's going to be one section where I'll admit, probably ranting about one element I noticed at the very end. I like it, I like the end, but also I noticed something. But before that, the main element and the main themes that I was really enjoying as it was being teased out is the different ways people are like feeling and being oppressed in ways. Because first off, there's obviously just like the main character, Lucia, being a maid to a mistress who's not very nice at the beginning. I do like her character arc. But there's obviously her not enjoying her job, but also having this magic at her fingertips and realizing that like it could get me out of this situation if I play my cards right. But there is also her boss, her mistress, who is also feeling controlled and stifled by her high society ways. And just her lifestyle that like, Sure, she wants to cling on to the lifestyle that she's comfortable with, but she's starting to really realize that it's more of a detriment, and how she really strives to just be respected. And then there's also Luzia's aunt, who seems to have a bit more independence on the surface. She like lives on her own and everything. She's got her own house and everything. But she spun this cool little story where she's like a widow, and that gained her, I guess, a bad boyfriend, a high society chap who sort of took an interest in her aunt and took her on as a mistress. So while her aunt does have this like slightly higher independent lifestyle, it's being funded and kind of controlled by this other guy in high society. And Santinelle is cursed and bound to that guy, to her aunt's boyfriend, and he's bound by his own curse and he hates him. But yeah, those facets were explored in a lot of different little ways through almost every character. And amongst all of that, I do like how Luzia was steadfast and she wanted to gain her independence so much. She was realizing that, like, yeah, I may have been a simple housemaid, but now that I'm getting into slightly higher societies, I kind of like this. I kind of like being doted on. I kind of like dresses. I kind of like this lifestyle. Because to her, that also represents respect. But it also, through her aunt, kind of represents self-respect too. She is striving just for an independent life, just to be left alone, honestly. Now this is the point where I'm gonna get really spoilery, because I just want to talk about a thing I noticed at the very end, right? I'll even put like a time code so you can skip to this, like my final thoughts kind of thing. If you don't want any spoilers, totally fine, because I want to nitpick at something. So feel free to skip ahead. But the thing is, due to Santinelle's curse being the familiar to this the main villain, he's bound to this guy. But not just him, his entire generations before him and the entire generations to come. He's bound to this family tree. Because while Santinelle is immortal and powerful, he gained that trait through a curse where his own luck and good fortune was given to a friend of his, and the friend of his is the start of that family tree. So he bound himself to an entire generation where Santinelle's luck and good fortune goes to someone else, goes to the main head of that household. And he can't leave. Santinelle is immortal, sure, but he can't leave. If he goes too far from like the main head of the household, he like burns up like a vampire in the sun. And the flip side of that too, from the family's generations, from their side, they have this dude who's just immortal and powerful and like bound to them, while they're like perfectly fortunate and everything goes great for them. Things don't go great for Santinelle, and they really don't care. They get mean to him. So at the very end, speeding fast forward like to the last couple of pages, Santinelle does escape with Luzia, and his curse isn't broken though. He's still cursed. He's still bound to that family. The thing is, like I said, if he gets too far from the head of the household, he burns up in the sun. He's been doing that now, willingly, every morning, and Luzia brings him back from the dead every day. He's still cursed, so he's burning up in the sun every morning. She brings him back every day, and because they're both super powerful and he's immortal anyway, and she's great with her magic, they're both just immortal, living their lives. Like, great for them, good for them, go off and live your happy lives, but that curse is still there. He's burning up every single day. That curse is still there. And the main villain of the story, the head of the household guy who Santinelle was bound to at the beginning, who we got to meet, he was like our main villain, right? Well, we see him at the very end too, almost like coming down with this crippling fear and anxiety where all of a sudden, like, he was so lucky, everything went in his favor. Not anymore. He's too afraid to even leave his house. He's too afraid to get out of bed now. And he dies there. Now, we don't feel bad for him. Narratively, he kind of deserved that. But around the end too, he has a son, a newborn son. And the mother, like his wife, takes the kid away because like they're realizing dad ain't doing so great. So wife and son leave. And like I said, this is a newborn baby. This kid is innocent to whatever curse this is happening to Santinelle. He doesn't know about it. The kid doesn't know about it. But Santinelle is still cursed. It's still going on, and it's going to affect every coming generation of that family tree. If he's still immortal and if he's still dying every day, he's still cursed. So it's still affecting every single generation afterwards. Who at that point, after like the big bad guy, you know, passed away in bed, all of his coming generation are technically innocent because they don't even know about Santinella. They don't know about the curse. So I'm happy Santinelle and Lucia get to go off and live their happy little lives together as these immortal beings. Him burning up like a vampire every day and coming back from the ashes every day. It's very symbolic. But they subjected a newborn to this crippling fear and anxiety and just bad fortune all around for his entire life and the coming generations afterwards. Those were technically innocent people. I don't know how to feel about that. But anyway, that's just an idea. That's an element that I noticed that's stuck like a splinter in my mind when I closed this book. I love it. I do. This was a great read, but I'm like, hold on, did you guys know that was happening? So yeah, those are my thoughts. Overall, absolutely loved it. Even if it was a bit challenging for me, I still really enjoyed it. And I don't think that bit was intentional. I don't know anyway. And I would like to pick up, actually, Six of Crows relatively soon. Like I said, not yet. I'm in the middle of some other series, and I'm letting myself read standalones. That's why I got to read this one in between all the series that I'm doing, because like, it's a standalone. It doesn't count. It's fine. But that's a duology, so I'm saving that one for a bit later. Probably after I finish some Brandon Sanderson stuff, because I also want to read The Lost Metal. But anyway, those are just future endeavors, and actually, relatively soon, I am putting together a longer form video where I'm talking through one of my favorite TV series, Penny Dreadful. But anyway, yeah, feel free to like and subscribe if you're liking this kind of stuff, and I'll see you later!